I wanted to find Craig, so I looked him up, you know, all the internet searches you can do. I found 11 Craig W's. I'm not going to use his last name,
Mhm.
all over the country. But only one had September 16th, 1951 birthday.
Nice.
I found him.
Mhm.
Awesome. And I paid an extra $5 or whatever it was doing my stalker thing. And I got his phone number. He was living out in California. I'd already sent him a couple of messages on Facebook. He never responded. And I looked at his Facebook page. He hadn't been on there in maybe a year. He just not, people have a Facebook page. They just don't do anything with it. Don't care.
Right.
So I'm looking and I'm no response. So I just, after breakfast and 48 cups of coffee, I decided to call him. Craig, I don't know if you remember me or not. This is Carter Buschardt from the old neighborhood, Dallas, Texas. No, I don't. Do I know you? I don't know you. Yeah, Dallas, Texas. Yes, we live in the same neighborhood. Well, I didn't live in Dallas, Texas. I lived in Richardson, Texas, which is about 30 miles north of Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I'm close. So maybe parents moved away for whatever. But I remember going to school with him, but that's a memory that may not have happened. So I start talking to him. I said, well, you and I were best friends for a long time because one reason we had the same birthdays. You remember any of that? We do? Yeah, September 16th, 1951. You know that? Well, because I looked you up. And it's my birthday. That's why we were friends.
Mm-hmm.
We went to school together. No, I didn't go to school there. I said, well, here's a question. Have you ever been hypnotized? Now, I'm calling this guy out of thin air. He doesn't know me, claims not to know me.
Right.
Jim, how long would you talk to somebody who said, have you been hypnotized or abducted? How long would you talk, or would you just hang up and go, hey, you got the wrong number?
Oh, well, to
No,
be
it's your
fair,
podcast.
after doing this, it's kind of like, yeah, I'm going to have that conversation. Yeah. Like,
But
oh,
as
tell
a
me
rule,
more.
you're going, come on, but thanks. Wrong number. Goodbye.
Right.
We sit there and have this conversation. So have you tried hypnosis? Well, yeah. How do you know that? Well, I don't know. I'm just asking. And he said, well, I tried it a few times. I don't think I ever believed in the technology. I tried it, but I'm not even sure why I did it. I just did it on a dare or something. I don't remember. And so I said, well, you and I were abducted in front of my mom's house. We were riding our bikes. We both got new bikes for Christmas. And it's the first time we had raced each other in the neighborhood.
Right.
No, none of that happened. I said, well, okay, so 20-minute conversation. He's denied being Craig Whaley. He's denying being, my age. He denies living in Dallas, Texas, 2 blocks away, the fireworks, going to school together. None of that. He has. So I know that's him. I think his screen memories are still very firmly in place. That's my assessment. Because how could I have made all that up unless he was a screen memory? But do not fear. I will be always near. Your fight is not in vain. I will heal you, I will reign. When you fall, when you crawl, I will carry you through it all until we meet on my golden shore.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for coming back and hanging out for another episode of the Night's Watch. How we all doing? I hope everybody is doing great. It's had a fantastic week, night, whatever. I hope everybody's doing good. Before we get this started, y'all do me a huge favor. Make sure you go ahead and do the likes and the subscribes. Leave me a comment. Hype, do the things that cost you nothing if you would for me. I would very much appreciate that because The algorithm loves that stuff, and we want to get out as much information as we can to the folks, and doing those things that cost you nothing is the best way to do it. So if you could do that, I'd be greatly appreciative. Anyways, so tonight we're going to have an awesome author and researcher on. I'm super excited about this because, man, this guy's lived a life. He's lived an awesome life. You know, he's had a lot of experiences, and just like myself, they're not all just one little thing, right? There's multiple things going on, which further emphasizes what we say all the time. It's all connected, right? So it tickles my tism real hard, and I love it. So I'm excited. So with that being said, let's get this awesome living legend up here, Mr. Carter. What's up?
What's going on, Jim?
Oh, not much, man. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I got a
Excellent.
bunch of yard work ahead of me today, so I'd rather not do that. We'll just talk for about 12 hours till it gets dark. We'll be all right.
Yes, I'm all about it,
Yep.
because Lord knows I need to be out in the garden and doing stuff in the yard too, and heck, even probably
Yep.
cleaning up some house. I don't wanna. But yeah, man. Well, do me a favor, brother, and tell everybody who you are and what you're about.
This is my name's Carter Buschardt. I've been researching cryptids for 15, 16 years. I've written 5 books on Sasquatch. All very nice books. They're all, color paperback. I'm self-published, so I put them out myself, including my Abduction book, which is what we're talking about today, or most of it anyway. Uh, I had just an incredibly gifted childhood. I have no idea why I do, but I just got lucky, right place, right time, or wrong place at the wrong time. Either way, but I learned from both, stances, so I'm okay with that.
Right.
So, but the abduction story, I found out this stuff happened in '59. It started, and I had no idea. And I found out by accident. Do you want me to go into that whole how I found out about the abduction, or?
I mean, that's entirely up to you, man. I'm here for it. Whatever you
Yeah.
want to take us.
Well, so anyway, I've been doing Sasquatch research for a lot of years, 16, 17, 15, somewhere in there. I lost count, doesn't really matter. But when I first saw uh, a Sasquatch, it was on TV, Leonard Nimoy,
Mhm.
and I can't remember the name of the show. It was Leonard Nimoy, and
In Search of, I believe, right?
it's such a, and so I was probably about 13 when I saw that. I saw the Sasquatch. I just knew it was real. Oh, that
Mhm.
exists. That's cool. That's cool. They got a picture, a video. That's pretty cool. I glossed over it like I already knew.
Mhm.
I had no way of knowing that I knew. I had no way of knowing how I knew. It just was not, usually when a kid sees something like that, says, "Ooh, cool! God, I want one of those." I just knew it was a real thing, and I just
Right.
carried on. So all my life, I kept seeing little gray robots walking down the hall of my house.
Mhm.
They were like marching in kind of unison, and there were like 4, 5, or 6 of them. They were just and they all looked like they were going downstairs, except they weren't going downstairs, they're just walking down my hall. And so I kept seeing those, and I just thought, and this is what my mom told me. I said, "Well, what are those little robots that come by every night?" And she goes, "You got to quit eating all that crap before you go to bed. You stay off the Kool-Aid, stay off the candy bars. No more sugar cereal before you go to bed. You're just eating
Right.
crap. Just stop it, and it'll go away." So that explained that away temporarily.
Sure.
But how I discovered that all of this had been happening my entire life, my wife and I and another couple were sitting around our house on Friday night,
Mhm.
2004. And we were just wondering, do we have a past life? I always thought I had a past life.
Mhm.
And so did my wife, so the other couple. They're old friends. And so we decided at the time, 2004, I pulled out a phone book. Yes, you had phone books in 2004. For those that don't know what a phone book is, well, look it up. It's
Right.
pretty interesting. It's kind of funny that those are like the Bible back then, and that now that you don't find them anywhere. You know,
It's kind of crazy, right?
yeah, it's bizarre. So I looked up a regressionist, hypnotic regressionist,
Mhm.
and I found one about 30 miles from our house out in Sibley, Missouri. So I'm in Kansas City, Missouri. So anyway, Nancy and Steve, the couple that was with us, they spent the night. We went out the first thing in the morning next Saturday. The Saturday after that, we drove out there. We all were recorded one by one. She had a big studio in a barn, an old barn. We sat on hay bales. You could sit in chairs. It was very relaxing. She had
Yeah.
a very elaborate maze outside where you could sit and meditate and get kind of calm and walk around and just soak up the spirituality and just relax. There's a lot of people going in to get regressed or flipping out a little bit about whatever it is.
Right.
So anyhow, we're in there. My wife goes first. She can't go under, control issues. A lot of people have that. I don't want somebody in my head. So some people just cannot be hypnotized.
Mhm.
And then Nancy went. She had two very interesting lives. Uh, Steve, her husband, he went next. He had one pretty interesting life. I'm just cutting it to save some time. And then it was my turn. And she was having trouble with me. I was squirming. I was crying. I was squawking. You just leave me alone. I was talking like 8-year-old Carter,
Mhm.
and I was 42 or 43 at the time. So
Mhm.
anyway, he finally gets me under. And I start screaming and crying and throwing the fits, get away from me, and you leave my friend alone. I said a lot of unclean words. I was just, you leave my buddy alone. What are you doing to him? Oh, no, I'm next. Oh, God. I was just totally losing my mind. I was
Yeah.
bawling. I was sobbing. Of course, I didn't know this at the time. I just thought I was laying there getting hypnotized. I had no, of course, I was out, so I didn't really know, you
Mhm.
know. And so I tell my story, and she brings me out, and everybody in the room, including the regressionists, are just like they're frozen, mouths
Mhm.
open, staring at me, and I'm sitting here going, "What just happened? What's wrong? What am I crying? What's going on? Why am I crying?" I had no clue. And so she finally tells me, and the regressionist, bless her heart, we were probably her fifth customer since she had gotten her license. She had just started. So what happens? She gets somebody who's been abducted by aliens and is losing their freaking mind right there. It was kind of funny
Yeah.
because and we're friends now. We've done a lot of conferences together.
Yeah.
And years went by and I hadn't seen her. Then all of a sudden I walk in to put my stuff up in my booth and she's right next to me. And we start talking and laughing about it all. But
Mhm.
anyway, so that is how I found out. Now, my wife and I went back Sunday, the next day. She said, we need to finish this up. So we went back. Steve and Nancy, they went home.
Mhm.
Matter of fact, we never saw them again. They,
Uh-oh.
yeah, this that freaked them out. They didn't want, they were like, I love you, but it's just too weird. I can't. So we just never
Right.
saw them again. Calls and emails went unreturned. Anyway, so we got
Fair.
it all out. And so I found out the very first time that I recall being abducted, and it was in Dallas, Texas, 1959, hot summer day, July. My buddy and myself, Craig, were racing our bikes in front of my house, actually, on Norcross Lane.
Mhm.
And we were at a stop sign, just being stupid kids. It's hot, nobody's out. Yeah, my mom was home. Women didn't work back then, so my mom was home doing the Barbara Billingsley thing, Leave It to Beaver, with the pearl necklace and cooking and stuff.
Right.
But this car went by, and I don't know how it missed us. Our clothes were like flapping in the breeze. It was that close, and we were just like, oh. And I was looking around. To see where Craig was. Well, by the time I looked around, we were in the craft, and that was how we were just in the craft on our bikes. And later during hypnosis, I was told that Craig had been taken many, many times before they found me.
Mm-hmm.
We hung out all the time in our neighborhood. Hunted fish, went down to Joe's Creek. We were fishing and catching frogs. I was a nature boy back then. I had all kinds of snake pit in my backyard. I had all kinds of animals. So we did all that. And so, but because we were so close together, what they do is demolecularize the craft or us to get us into the craft.
Mm-hmm.
We turn into matter,
Right.
and then we're reassembled. He said, and this was the ET talking to me through my subconscious, we had to take you because you were so close together. There's only a certain 1 or 2 second time frame that happens. And if you're too far apart, one of you may not make it. You may disappear and we'll never see you. We'll lose you in the ethos. So they had to take me. And so I'm in there, and the craft was sitting on my bike, and I guess some time had passed by because then I look, and Craig is behind this kind of cheesecloth. It was a transparent wall. I was looking. It really looked just like it was cheesecloth. I could see, but I couldn't see everything.
Right.
I saw the shadows of the ETs, and they were doing stuff, and he was screaming his butt off. He was just screaming bloody murder. I started going like I probably was reliving in the very same way when I was freaking out when they were hypnotizing me. I go, "What are you doing to my friend? Stop it! Stop it! What are you doing?" And the other thing was he had blood coming out of his neck. And the other thing I figured out as a little child, oh crap, I'm next. Oh God, no. It's funny, but it's not. I'm going, holy blankety blank, I'm going in there next. And I don't like blood. I was freaking.
Yeah. I don't think he's having a good time. I don't know that I want to be a part of this next.
No.
Right.
And there's so many tie-ins to just this event. But so I don't remember much after they shut me up somehow. And I found out later they put me in an embryo, like this big pod that kept me from flailing around and screaming and causing all this chaos. But then I could still scream. They just couldn't hear me. Well, when it was my turn, I see the ET come over with a laser. That's the first time I'd ever seen one. It was a laser pointer. He just took this red laser, this thing, and just sliced the pod open I was in. Yeah. I went blank after that. So they probably took me and did whatever they were going to do.
Right.
Which was, but anyway, that's how it got started. Now, the car that almost hit us, that's a 1951 Buick Roadmaster.
Interesting.
That's the car that almost hit us, but it was baby blue. And, it was a 4-door. And I was going, I've seen that, but this is after I woke up. Turns out my grandparents, this is where the screen memories come in, where they just obfuscate everything they don't want you to see or remember. My grandparents owned a 1951 Buick Roadmaster. It was sitting in their garage, baby blue, in Houston, Texas. I never saw them drive it because by the time I got to know them, they were too old to drive. So the car just sat there. So that was a screen memory. So subsequent regressions, I did find out I did see the craft finally. That
Mhm.
little veil was lifted. So fast forward to when we just got regressed 2004. 2 weeks before that, my wife and I had decided we wanted to restore old cars. We like driving the old cars, you know. We have a
Yeah.
'59 Thunderbird convertible now. We've had
Ooh.
a lot of cars. We sold them off and traded, and real estate thing tanked in 2001 with the Bernie Madoff thing, and everything went to heck.
Right.
So we uh, sold all our cars just to stay above, water. You know, real estate was going way bad, and that's what I did. I was making
Mhm.
good money, but I had to work harder for it than I thought. Anyway, so
Right.
we're 2004. We go in and get hypnotized. 2 weeks before that, unbeknownst to anything, I had no idea because I just thought I was going for a past life regression. We had bought this car
Mhm.
to restore two
Right.
weeks before we even went and got hypnotized. We had it shipped to us and it was black. We ended up refinishing. It was a beautiful car. And it ended up being black and a show car. We sold it to some guy in Spain. But anyway,
Oh.
we had already done that. So I had a little shoulder tap already that I had a reason that I liked that car. Well, the reason I liked the car because it's like my Meemaw and Meepaw had it. And it was a really cool looking car.
Mhm.
And we just decided. And then 2 weeks later, I regressed. And this is the car that my mind sees, which was not really what we saw.
Mhm.
They are clever. Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
I've
Oh,
got
yeah.
so many screen memories. So that was the start of all of this.
Mhm.
So I went back 7 more times to get regressed. Because it wasn't registering, but it was certain things, the little gray robots I was telling you about.
Right.
uh, that all came into focus. They were coming from my parents' bedroom down the hall, which I now know they were shutting them off so they would not see or hear or interrupt what they were going to do to me.
Mm.
Right on my heathens, time to break the binding chains in this dark, dark world. Today's episode is sponsored by BattleBox. Outdoor gear, camping gear, hiking, fishing, preparedness. They got it all. Scan the QR code or use the link in the description for 25% off, and you will be helping support the Night's Watch. Now, let's get back after it, folks.
And I got to go see them in that bedroom during my eighth regression. We skipped
Mhm.
all of the you getting it was a shortened version of getting to the point. And I walked down the hall and I saw the ET. I saw my parents in bed. My dad was laying there like a corpse fully in his suit, dress suit,
Yep.
and on top of the covers. My mom was under the covers wearing her bathrobe, and she was on her left side staring out the window of the house, or it was, facing the window. They were out.
Mhm.
And then when I'm in there, I start kind of looking around and I see this alien
Mhm.
much taller than there's to me there's the little grays, the little 3 footers. They're the robotic. They're the hybrid robots
Yep.
made in the image of the tall grays, the 6 footers, 7 footers.
Yeah.
So, but I saw one, and this one had a real kind of a eggplant shaped head where it went kind of back down. The big bulbous head went
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
way back and went down about half. He had all these tubes on him with lights and gases. I could hear and see all these things just kind of floating around. It was like a space traveler. I mean, he had all this gear going on, lights and little buzzing and little, and these just light, different colored lights were flying through these tubes. But this is kind of funny now. Is that I'm looking and he's seeing me and he's backing up because he doesn't want to. He's trying to get out of my field of view. Why he didn't just snap me out or do whatever, but he was probably in the middle of whatever he was doing with me, so he couldn't just knock me out because he had to get me out of there or to do whatever. So he's backing up. I'm going, and he's trying to back up, but where he's trying to back up, that's the entrance to my parents' bathroom. Well, it's closed. The door is closed, and he just kind of goes. He gives a smile and a smirk and blinks his eyes a couple of times and just like, yeah, you got me. I mean, that's basically what it was.
Yeah.
And then I turned around and walked back down the hall. And I don't remember after that, but I was just there to see and to verify that what I thought was happening to my parents was happening. All these little gray robots, I saw them dozens of times. And like I said, I thought I was just eating too much crap before I went to bed. Thought nothing of it. I was on a bunk bed, so I was way up on top. My brother was on the bottom. I don't think he was ever taken, as far as I know. I don't recall. But that's my baptism into the world of abduction. And I've got whatever kind of questions you got.
Yeah. So when you're observing this stuff with your parents going on, the first question I have is this a memory of you as a child going in and checking this out, or is this more of a you in 2004, being projected so that you can see it? What's happening in this?
Well, the last regression I did was, what is this, 2026? It would have been February of last year, 2025. That's the last one. And she was the last. It was the same woman who took us down in the first time. We I like I said, we've been friends and stayed in contact. So
Right.
I went to her because she was local, and she gave me a little break on price,
Heck yeah.
Hypnosis is not cheap when you're doing it with, credentialed people anyway.
Yeah.
So she took me and she said, and this is why she said, this is your 8th time. We can skip a lot of the energy and time. You're getting sleepy, you go for the cloud, you get up on the cloud, you're going to pick some flowers and you're going to float up to the next cloud. I didn't have to do all that because I already knew. She got me out and I went out. And so I went straight to the bedroom, saw everything. And so I was reliving whether it was one time or multiple times. But I had to have, well, no, I can't say that. I don't know that I actually ever went into the bedroom. Now they're regressing me, but they're just showing me what happened. So I'm not sure if I was watching myself during this regression. You said I was watching myself, so I probably had at some point gone down there, and it just hasn't been pulled out of my head yet because of all the my head's so blocked up with screen memories, and it's not gummies, it's screen memories. I'm like, I've got all these things that I like I said earlier, the screen memories are wearing off, but I don't recall them unless I go under, because with rare exception, I'm starting to recall things, but not with the clarity that I get after, being regressed. So, but to answer your question, I'm pretty sure I was watching a version of myself when I finally saw the ET, because I did see this type of ET in the craft. I was in the craft many, many times. So I saw this type of craft, alien in the craft, along with the Greys, along with Nordics, reptilian.
Right. Yeah. So this is very interesting. Like either way, like whatever the case ends up being, that turns out to be true. It's still interesting because on one hand, if it's just 8-year-old you walking in and seeing this, the reaction of the leader acting that way is interesting when we know it could probably just be like, you, paralyzation now. Like it probably could have done that easily. Like we hear about that often,
Yeah.
you know. But if it's just, the opposite end of this and it's you being projected and it's still reacting to your projection and acting like this, that makes a little bit more sense, to me from the way I'm seeing it.
Sure.
And yet it's still being able to recognize and react, but not being able to affect you in that state because it's, in a different point in time is very interesting. And for me and where I see this stuff, it very much reflects on the dual nature of these beings, personally, my opinion. And either way, it's interesting. And the other thing too, one like little quick aside, is that this type of interaction and story that you're talking about, it's so different than the narrative at the time. Like most people would be talking about like the Adamski type situations, right? The Space Brothers and yada yada. Everything's cool and we're having a fun time. Where what you're describing doesn't fit that narrative at all. In fact,
Yeah.
it aligns with everything that we know after all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
I find that to be super fascinating, man.
Yeah.
Super fascinating.
I'm pretty sure that, as Toby had mentioned, I was watching myself discovering the truth to what I had always thought had happened after I found out I had been abducted.
Right.
Well, they had to have been going to my parents because they all were, every time I saw them, they were coming from the direction of my parents' bedroom. And there was one other bedroom down there. My two other brothers. So, but they weren't coming from the kitchen or living room going this way. They were always going that way. And
From the
so,
parents' room.
yeah. And once I learned about screen memories and the things they can make you see or not see, it can, demolecularize you and do whatever they want. It verified that what I thought was happening was happening. And
Right.
that's probably why I allowed myself, and I was allowed by my super subconscious to see it without any clutter. What I'm wasting a lot of energy getting there. And, the ET doing this, kind of smirking at me, that could have been imposed on me. That could have been wishful thinking. But I mean, I watched it happen because it was just like, and I heard in my head, you got me. And so I, not the 8-year-old me, but me as 43-year-old Carter laying there
Yes.
going, yeah, you got me. Because here's the thing they told me. I said, your screen memories are wearing off. Some of the things that you are holding so near and dear to you, technology wise and spacecraft wise, we're already living that in 2025, 26. We're already seeing and hearing about all this stuff.
Right.
You don't have to hide it. Oh, maybe you feel like you do, but I already know some of the things I'm having to fight because I don't remember it out of hand for the most part. I have to go under because they've got the blocks in there, and they told me why I have the blocks because I'm a I'm a people person. I will talk. I will say things before they should be said. And
Mm,
so we don't
right.
want you to have certain things until it's time. Well, if you look at the papers and the internet and the news, it appears to be time. But right now, all we're getting is a lot of garbage.
Mm,
Blockage of we're not getting the truth. Well, we'll just throw them these bones. Yeah, there's a UFO. There's a UFO. There's the Tic Tacs. And they're just throwing this little stuff to nibble on. We're
mhm,
not going to get any real truths, but they are afraid with my knowledge and things I've said. I shouldn't be allowed to discuss them until it's time. So if
mm,
I can go unlock my subconscious, but I got to hire a regressionist to go unless I learn self hypnosis, which I'm considering. But so I have to go dig it out, you know,
mhm,
and they had been using Craig for hybridization, and when they met me, they went, "Oh, you got what we want. We're going to take you too." So every time
mm.
they took Craig, they would take me. There was other kids in the neighborhood, and here's why. God, I could be talking for 4 hours from now. But here's one key thing. They referred to the hybridization as melding and meshing of the two species. They called it melding and meshing. They did not
Mm,
use the word hybridization. That's my word because that's more vernacular. That's
right.
what it is. So those little Carters running around out there
Mhm,
somewhere. God forbid. you know,
right.
and there's probably little Craigs.
Oh, I'm sure.
Here's something. If you want, I was born September 16th, 1951. Yes, I'm an old fart. And my buddy Craig, take a wild guess when he was born.
September
September
16th?
16th, 1951. The
Wow.
exact. Oh, it gets better. I had another buddy, Gordon,
Mhm,
who lived in my same neighborhood. Now, he and I did a lot of hunting and fishing together as
mhm.
kids. We went to school together. Guess what his birthday was? Time's up. September 16th, 1951.
What?
Yeah. So if you're going to be doing experiments, you've got three preteens all born on the same exact day and year. Your physiology is going to be pretty similar, other than what your parents feed you. So if you're going to experiment on one, you've got three that the results should kind of all mirror the others,
Yeah.
with rare exception. So you've got your perfect little scientific pod in my neighborhood.
Mhm.
And you got questions because
No, not really. I mean, it's just, the logistics of that is funny to me. It's like, yeah,
yeah,
we could go like all around the world, but why? We could just go literally right here and bada bing, bada boom.
yeah.
Good to go.
Well, and they were doing this all over the place.
Yeah.
So now, here's the thing. I knew Craig and we lived in the same neighborhood. So did Gordon. Gordon lived 2 blocks over south, and Craig lived 2 blocks over north.
Hmm.
Craig and I hung out together, did a lot of stuff. We were shooting fireworks off one day, and the wind blew the bottle rockets back down. We were hiding behind his parents' detached one-car garage. Well,
Hmm.
the wind blew the bottle rockets back down. They blew up, hit the brush, and they burned the back half of their garage down.
Uh-oh.
So you're never going to hang out with that Carter boy. He's a bad influence. My parents, once they found out what happened, you're not going to hang out with that Craig kid. He's a bad influence. Both parents blame the other kid. Of course, we're all criminals just waiting to be released to the public.
As you do
So
as parents,
we
yes.
never got to hang out together ever. We did it when we could, but they kept tabs on us. So
Mm.
I wanted to find Craig, so I looked him up. You know, all the internet searches you can do. I found 11 Craig W's. I'm not going to use his last name. All over the country. But only one had September 16th, 1951 birthday.
Nice.
I found him. Awesome. And I paid an extra $5 or whatever it was doing my stalker thing. And I got his phone number. He was living out in California. I'd already sent him a couple of messages on Facebook. He never responded. And I looked at his Facebook page. He hadn't been on there in maybe a year. He just not, people have a Facebook page. They just don't do anything with it. Don't care.
Right.
So I'm looking and I'm no response. So I just, after breakfast and 48 cups of coffee, I decided to call him. Craig, I don't know if you remember me now. This is Carter Buschardt from the old neighborhood, Dallas, Texas. No, I don't. Do I know you? I don't know you. Yeah, Dallas, Texas. Yes, we lived in the same neighborhood. Well, I didn't live in Dallas, Texas. I lived in Richardson, Texas, which is about 30 miles north of Dallas. Okay, well, I'm close. So maybe parents moved away for whatever. But I remember going to school with him, but that's a memory that may not have happened. So I start talking to him. I said, well, you and I were best friends for a long time because one reason we had the same birthdays. You remember any of that? We do? Yeah, September 16th, 1951. How do you know that? Well, because I looked you up. And it's my birthday. That's why we were friends. We went to school together. No, I didn't go to school there. I said, well, here's a question. Have you ever been hypnotized? Now, I'm calling this guy out of thin air. He doesn't know me, claims not to know me.
Right.
Jim, how long would you talk to somebody who said, have you been hypnotized or abducted? How long would you talk, or would you just hang up and go, hey, you got the wrong number?
Oh, well, to be fair, after doing this, it's kind of like, yeah, I'm going to have that conversation. Yeah. Like,
but
oh,
as
tell
a
me
rule,
more.
you're going, come on, but thanks. Wrong number. Goodbye.
Right.
We sit there and have this conversation. So have you tried hypnosis? Well, yeah. How do you know that? Well, I don't know. I'm just asking. And he said, well, I tried it a few times. I don't think I ever believed in the technology. I tried it, but I'm not even sure why I did it. I just did it on a dare or something. I don't remember. And so I said, well, you and I were abducted in front of my mom's house. We were riding our bikes. We both got new bikes for Christmas. And it's the first time we had raced each other in the neighborhood.
Right.
No, none of that happened. I said, well, okay. So 20-minute conversation. He's denied being Craig Whaley. He's denying being, my age. He denies living in Dallas, Texas, 2 blocks away, the fireworks, going to school together. None of that. He has. So I know that's him. I think his screen memories are still very firmly in place. That's my assessment. Because how could I have made all that up unless he was a screen memory? But then why would you be hiding whoever I was with? If that was some covert thing that you had to make up, a kid with a name and a back history and setting his house on fire, and you have to make up all this chronological stuff that happened. Why would you have to do that?
That's a lot of work. Yeah.
And when I'm under hypnosis, I'm describing it's me and Craig. I'm talking. He's there. He's wearing this stupid little Madras shirt. The Madras, the little squares, all it looks like Why would you have to create all that? Who was there that shouldn't have been there? Why would you replace him with somebody fictitious? If this is all such a bizarre
thing. Are you hearing that helicopter go over right now? Because that's really loud.
I'm sorry, what?
Could you hear the background noise of a helicopter going very low over my house just now?
Well, it's because you're talking to me.
Oh, okay. That was really low. Huh.
Well,
weird. Sorry for this. Hopefully
the country, you live on a highway, or you got a lot of traffic or wrecks, or
Yeah, I do live off of a highway, but I'm
Yeah.
also in the former UFO capital of the world of Fife, Alabama. So it's a thing.
Oh, yeah, could be. So that's one of the many steps of my journey. But see, so already they're telling me, or he's telling me that's not me. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never. No. But he doesn't hang up. We said goodbye like two old friends talking, and I'll see you later. Well, thanks for talking to me. Click, click. That was it. None of this. You're freaking nuts, dude. Who the hell do you call me out of? How'd you get my number? There
Right.
was none of that. I think I may have tapped him on the shoulder real heavy. Because that hypnosis thing. Have you ever been hypnotized?
No.
Yeah. So usually you do that for a reason, whether it's therapeutic, mental things, or you're just trying to get to some long lost secrets or witness to a car wreck or a past life, or
Mhm.
there's reasons for it. People go under all the time for therapy.
Yeah.
So that's how the ball got rolling. It gets better, it gets worse, depends on how you want to look at
Fair. Yeah,
it.
it's interesting because, like, in my own experiences with this stuff, like, I don't know how well this translates or even is like the norm or whatever. Like, but I know, like, with the conversations that I've had with them when I was doing my CE5 stuff, which was more like astral projection is what I would refer to it as, but mostly because I don't know the lingo and I don't care to learn it. So sorry, not sorry. But like I remember the ones that I really got along with in my conversations with them, I can remember a lot. Like there's a lot of details that I can remember in that conversation. But the ones that I had spoken with that we didn't get along too well, I can't remember the conversation at all. Like it's just a block there. I remember like thoughts and perceptions of like, oh well, this thing looks horrifying, but it seemed kind of nice. So at least there's that. Whereas the other ones that were super mean and didn't care at all for me were, I can't remember anything other than just feeling like, wow, what a jerk.
Yeah.
Neat. You know, I don't know what that all means, but I can relate to what you're saying with the screen memories and all that stuff if that helps. I find it
Yeah.
fascinating.
hmm And so the car thing was just, it all meshed. Didn't mean to use their word, you know, but,
Mhm.
and I know a lot of researchers, cryptid more than UFO abductions.
Mhm.
But if I mentioned a few names, you'd probably know who they are. Women
Yeah.
remembering being floated out the bedroom, the classic floated out the bedroom as a teen or young woman,
Mhm.
night clothes fluttering in the breeze, going up into a craft,
Right.
being impregnated, or having the baby removed
Yes.
and put into the vats so they can do their 4-year gestation, as the aliens normally take, so they
Mhm.
say. And so, of course, I don't identify them in any way, shape, or form. I said, you want to talk to me because they're freaked because they have, they've heard me speak, and they're like, I gotta talk to you. Oh my God, you just said something. Oh, gee, you just triggered, you know. And so
Mhm.
they're telling me about a couple of women. They come back, get them, take them up, and show them their children,
Yes.
and then bring them back. And it's in there, but it's just floating around. Some remember it more clearly than others, like me,
Mhm.
that I remember things, but they're still controlling because I'm a vocal person, like with my Sasquatch research,
Right.
you
Right.
know, and I have I do habituation research with the Sasquatch, and which means they live on the property, this multiple acreage property, and
Hmm.
the deep woods all across, Missouri, Kansas, Washington State. I got people everywhere, and
Right.
several of them see orbs. They see UFOs. One
Hmm.
of them is long as a football field. This one family, they got bizarre stuff going on.
Hmm.
Now that's a whole nother story. But their property is about 191 acres, almost 200 acres. A
Okay.
road goes right down the middle of it. Their house is on this side. They have another kind of a mobile home on the other property where they go over there and hunt. This road that goes right down the middle, Trail of Tears.
Mm.
I led an expedition in Illinois in 2019 in the Trail of Tears.
Yeah.
That started a communication with the Sasquatch people that still goes on to this day. Telepathy, Mindspeak, stuff like that. I do a lot of meditating. What do? I get a lot of visions and voices and gestures coming to me.
Right.
So I'll take that kind of experience anytime because it's really just mind-boggling. They are vastly superior to us in many, many ways. They can do things we can only dream about.
Hmm.
When I started writing about my Sasquatch folks, my habituation, a lot of people go, another paranormal guy. I hate that word, by the way. It's a horrible word.
Right.
But it's derogatory, just
Hmm.
like other words for other people and belief systems. Anyway,
Right. Right.
so it's an ongoing thing. It's connected.
Hmm.
You know, Uh, I, some of what I was going to tell you will probably be for another show. If you want to have me back on, we'll just do Sasquatch stuff and they can relate. But
Certainly.
the paranormal, quantum, metaphysical stuff
Hmm.
that is going on and is largely unspoken should be spoken. And that's why I wrote my 5 Sasquatch books, is because all of my people are experiencing it's not just dumb apes,
Yep.
not in the least. This is my favorite cover of all time.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We are not dumb apes. But it is fascinating. And these are just simple, God-fearing country folk. They wouldn't lie, steal, cheat. They're just, I mean, they're devout Christians, but they
Hmm.
draw a line. They say, that's not God. That's not Nephilim. That's an entirely different being. It's a completely and utterly different being altogether, period, end of conversation. I mean, they've just experienced it and see it,
Hmm.
and I'm not well versed enough in the Nephilim as a fallen angel and all that kind of stuff. That's not. I say that has nothing to do with what we're experiencing here. You know,
Hmm.
they live on their property. They can interact with them daily, weekly, monthly, yearly,
Hmm.
or never at all. Just see them.
Hmm.
It's a peaceful understanding between two parties that respect that the other lives and exists. And if you do, they've just been inundated with all this kindness and open mindedness and another way to see the world, the forest people,
Hmm.
than other people. They're seeing things in an entirely different light. And it's fascinating. And the experiences and the things they tell me, it just. But a lot of it, not a lot of it, but a good part of it, with a couple of families, dovetails nicely into the UFO thing.
Oh yeah.
One of them, they've seen UFOs 4, 5, 6 times.
Hmm.
I mean, different ones. It's never the same one twice. It's different ones.
Hmm.
So there you go.
Yeah. I mean, it's all interesting, man. And like I was talking to you about before we pressed the record button, is like, I've been out for my channel. I've been out for like, we see UFOs, we see orbs, we see different critters that you wouldn't think would be associated with Bigfoot if we just look at this from the classical angle. Like,
Yeah.
it happens all the time. And people are just like, there's no way. But like, get out there. Like, look, if you open up your eyes, you'll see it. I can't help that the majority of the reports that come out of this stuff get sanitized for your indulgement. They take all the spices out of it, all the salts and peppers and smoked paprika, but it's there. It's absolutely there. And if you just go,
The
you'll see
dumb
it.
ape side is softening greatly. They are coming to realize that being a dumb ape only explains like 3 things out of 10,000.
Right.
So if you want to be happy with 97.9,000% of what you saw to be blown off and slid under the carpet, go right ahead. Stick your head in the sand.
Yeah.
It just, and when I was doing my reports, I could tell that the people didn't want to tell me everything because they're tired of being scoffed at and ridiculed by their husbands, wives, co-workers, friends, family, all that kind of crap. So they were only telling me, and then when they wanted to tell me the bizarre paranormal quantum stuff, they say, well, my Uncle Bob used to see him kind of walking in and out of a tree. That just don't happen. Well, so tell me about Uncle Bob. Well, was it, I can't remember if it was Uncle Bob or my grandpa. But we're living on Grandpa's farm now, so it might have been Grandpa's. So they're experiencing, they just didn't want to tell me. I finally got it out of them. So that's why all the names in my books are fake names, pseudonames. The locations are not mentioned in any way, shape, or form. All the geographic data is taken off the photos. There's nothing. Right. They live in Missouri. They live in Washington State. They live in New England, wherever. That's it. That's all you're going to get. And they don't want to be bothered. So they don't popularize this. They don't, tell the world what's going on. Because people will come by with guns and kill a Sasquatch for money. And that's a real thing. There's pro-kill groups that will do that because there's unofficial bounties of millions of dollars to bring in a body that the government hands on first.
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing. And, it depends on the point of view you want to take with this. Like for me, I think there is a very special set of genetics that can only be gotten from certain creatures, and these are one of them. And if you want to be able to 3D print meat suits to have little 3-foot tall robots like what you got behind you, you got to have special genetics to be able to do that. My opinion. So yes, I'm 100% in agreement with that. And hey, it's just one of those things. Like people.
See, I don't blame people in that we've been told since we were born that there's no UFOs, there's no ghosts, there's no Sasquatch, there's no pale whites, Nordics, there's whistlers, there's none of that. That's all just made up stuff to give you boogeyman dreams at night.
Right.
Just forget about it. Well, no, they do exist. And you're saying they don't exist is not your fault unless you have done the research and still go, nah, they don't exist. That's just a poppycock. Forget it.
Right.
Because once you open your mind, you realize all the BS they're throwing at us is just that. It's garbage.
Oh, yeah.
It's just to obfuscate until somebody's going to have to tell the real truth, whether it's, Stephen Greer or anybody else like that. Who knows? All those scientists that are missing now, oops.
Oh yeah, super coincidence there, bro. Nothing to see here.
Yeah,
Moving
no,
on.
it doesn't have
Right,
anything to do with anything. Yeah, it's probably just, a bad oatmeal, I think is what it was.
right. And to be fair, like to take the skeptic's argument from them and turn it back on them for just a moment, right? Like when
Mhm.
they're like, "Oh, you guys talking about pyramids, that's that and the other. People didn't build this, even though it's crazy." Like you're taking away from humanity when you guys say that, right? Humans are actually just as smart now as we were then, and you're just whitewashing our own capabilities. How dare you? Like, turn the
Mhm.
fake outrage there
Mhm.
onto us. And it's like, okay, well, hold on a second. You want to take that perspective. However, when you look at what those said ancestors have been talking about for thousands of years, describing exactly what we're saying, just using different nouns, different adjectives, you know, like they're talking about this, but
Yeah.
yet you want to not take away from what they did and accomplished. Well, why do you feel the need to take away from what they're telling you the best of their abilities to do so in that time, right?
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you, but it seems to be a thing. So,
Looks like a duck. It's gotta be an ET.
exactly. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Or one
You
of
could
those,
use that, just send me $5. Yeah. But you
all
know what I
right.
mean? It is what
Yeah.
it is. Looks like a duck, quacks like a duck. It's a freaking duck. It may have been genetically modified to look like an ET. Who? But
Yeah.
you can only deny your eyes and your
Hmm.
gut for so long. You just and here's a good one. When I was talking to, I did this Sasquatch festival in Staunton, Illinois, just about 3 or 4 days ago, Saturday, and so many hunters. I've been hunting these years, 30, 40 years in these woods. There ain't nothing out there like that. If there was something like that, I'd have seen it, and I hadn't seen it, so it don't exist.
Right.
Then, weeks or months later, I get a phone call or an email. Can we talk?
All the time, right?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
well, yeah, they just finally had this come to Jesus moment. Several of them had an aha moment while they were talking to me at my booth during
Oh
this
yeah.
festival. They were just
Oh yeah.
going, "Well, honey, what about that?" And, okay, I'll tell him. And then I have an explanation. I finish his sentences for him,
Mhm.
so I know what you're going to say. This is what you said. This is what you saw. This is what you're telling yourself you didn't see.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Well, see. And what do you think now? What if somebody else told you that? Will they be nuts? Okay. Well, what if you're telling me that? What should I think of you?
Mm.
Well, so they've been a victim of their own logic, which is definitely,
I mean,
implanted in
they're
your head.
they're at the
Government's giving us screen memories too.
oh yeah. I mean, as I was gonna say, is like they're
This is what
basically
you
at the
want.
point where they only have to do a little bit of work to kind of keep this under wraps. At this point, we just do it naturally amongst ourselves already. Like the work's already been done.
Yeah.
But yeah, that exact conversation happens all the time because I have people approach me, like just at work and want to talk about, just like the interesting side of things I do. And they're like, oh, that's super neat. And some of them we're like, whatever. I'm out there all the time. Exactly how you put it out. But you give it a little bit of time to let them marinate on what they said and some of the things they've overheard me say, and they'll come up and be like, "Hey, you know what?" And I'm just like, "Told you." Like
Nana nana boo boo.
like, it happens all the time, and it's like, yeah, I'm convinced that just about everybody on this planet at this point has a story, even if it's just one little story where they just don't wanna admit on it, but it's only because when they reflect on it, they can't explain it.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, yeah. The world's kind of a crazy place, and we just don't wanna admit it, or some of us do, and for whatever reason, like, I don't understand why you don't wanna just be like why you wouldn't wanna confront it and just be like, "Look, I want to make sense of this one thing that I can't make sense of. I'm sorry that, the information that you find along the journey doesn't wanna sit well, maybe you should figure out how to make the information sit well. Like, you need to come and find the perspective that you can use on this, so that way, at the very least, you can have that peace in your own life.
Mhm.
However you do it, whatever, I don't care. But denying that it ever happened and ridiculing those who say, I'm at peace, I want to talk,
Mhm.
that's not the move. That's not the
Yeah.
move. So I don't know, man. Frustrating, but is what it is. And
Yeah.
you know, honestly, man, I don't know. It's just whatever. But dude, this has been an awesome conversation. I really appreciated you coming on and telling your experiences and thoughts, man, and connecting some dots for people. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And yeah, we can have you on again, because it sounds to me like you've got a lot more that we can discuss, and that tickles my tism pretty good. So I like that.
Yeah. No, I'm a talker, and I'm detail oriented, and so my reports are all chock full of stuff.
Good,
You know,
good.
you've probably seen this picture. There's some incredible stories behind stuff like that.
Man, that guy needs a pedicure or something awful.
Yeah, but you've got a copy of those books anywhere, the covers and stuff. So
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
anytime, just let me know. I'd love to come back. I mean, this
Sure.
is fascinating. The whole reason I do any of this, I wasn't going to release my book as a book. I was just going to leave it
Mhm.
as a big document to explain why Uncle Carter is so weird. So when
Right.
I pass away, someone goes, "Well, that explains it." He was abducted by aliens in front of the house.
Right.
Nobody. I mean, they're going, "Oh, he's nuts." Well, I see why he's gone now. He's going after the aliens up on Saturn, which is where I've been also.
Oh, very cool.
So yeah, but it just took on a life of its own, and somebody was talking to me, and I said, that's just like what happened to me, and I just said, "Oh, screw it, I'm going to do a book. I'm just going to put the book out."
Right. Awesome.
366 pages of, you gotta be kidding me.
But we're not. We're not.
Yeah.
You just gotta look. You just
Yeah.
gotta look. Well, Carter, where can they find your books at? I'll have links obviously in the description, but tell the folks
Sure.
personally.
Email me, because I took down my webpage. I had a webpage, but people were stealing photos off of my webpage and using them as their own. So I had to put, stop to that, even though I had copyright marks all over them. Some people do that because they have nothing to offer themselves. So they'll
Right.
take it from others. Anyway, so my email, Sasquatch, SQExplorer at gmail.com. Email me. These books are really, really nice. They're on glossy paper, all color, well written. There's no fictional stuff in here. This is all true, whether you believe it or not. It's true. It's happening. I go visit these people and sit down, break bread with them, and we have a nice talk. They're sending me information. I got 2 emails last night from a friend who is having weird stuff.
Mhm.
Weekly or monthly, I'll get something from somebody, past witness.
Right.
So it keeps, and this tells me that it's getting out there. People are reading the books. I want people to have the courage to come forward
Mhm.
and tell their story, so I can put them in a book. Nobody will be identified, but it just gives courage to those that are scared and have been ridiculed and mocked to the degree they won't come out. They're in hiding. They won't talk about it.
Mm.
That's not right.
No, not at all.
It's kind of what the government's doing to us anyway. But people they've been ridiculed to the point, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of getting made fun of. Well, this is your chance. You can be anonymous. Find me or Jim or anybody else that you want to tell your story to. Get it out there. And because there's others waiting to get the courage from you telling your story. They're out there.
Exactly. I am living proof of such a thing. So
There you go.
what you're saying is 100% true. 100% true. Well, awesome. Well, bro, I appreciate it so much. Hopefully we can get some orders up in there for some books and get some people to be interested. And you got like any social media where people can follow you at?
Facebook. Now, you can follow me. I'm still a member of BFRO. I still have access to all the data.
Oh,
I'm just not doing reports until they come to their senses. But if I'm getting 3 or 4 followers a day from BFRO.
mm,
All of a sudden, they just exploded here about 2 weeks ago.
yeah.
And
You
I'm not
know,
sure why. Well, I do know why, because they're getting to hear the truth when they're not going to hear it.
what I'm hearing is if it was possible to not get copyright muted from it, now is the perfect time to be playing Secret Agent Man song because you're getting all that and you can go, oh, look, here's the truth. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
Secret Agent
that
Man,
should be your
here's the
music
truth they're
next time
not
we do a show
telling you.
together. You put on Secret Agent Man. Oh, one of the aliens I saw
Yeah,
was from the Outer Limits. Who's the guy? Uh, Man from Uncle, the blonde-headed,
I don't know. But I think I know you're
retired,
talking about the TV show, right? Outer
yeah, TV
Limits?
show.
Okay.
He played an alien with this head that was like humongous and all these veins sticking out. I
Yeah.
saw an alien that looked just like that in the craft where they were all letting me talk to them and they were talking to me.
Hmm.
David McCollum, that's him.
Okay. Okay.
Look up Outer Limits,
Yeah. Yeah.
David McCollum, and you will see that that was a clone. That was an exact duplicate of what he looked like in that movie.
It's
One's
almost like they're
reality, one's
trying to
not.
tell us something, right?
One's reality, one's not.
Hmm.
Which is which?
That's very telling. Well,
Yeah.
awesome, bro. I appreciate it. And thank you so much. And we'll stay in touch. And brother, just do me a favor real quick. Sit back in the green room for just a second, and I'm
Sure.
going to land the ship, okay?
Okie dokie.
All right. Thank you, bro.
Enjoy it, Jim. See you.
All right. Well, guys, that was the show for tonight. That was the show for tonight. You know, it's all so interesting to me. I I love hearing about all of this stuff. I really do. It's very affirming in a lot of ways, and you know, as he and I were kind of talking behind the stages, we all kind of have like a little piece of the puzzle going on in our area, and some folks are just so protective of their little piece. They're like, no, no, get away, get away. This is mine. Yours is different. It don't work. Get away. You know. And I don't agree with that. Clearly, right? And it never ceases to amaze me the strings that we can pull from each other's stories and experiences and connect things. And people just want to be like, it's not connected. It's like, yeah, it is. Like you're looking at your little puzzle piece instead of the mosaic that is all of this. And you know whether I agree or not with exactly the way that you're framing it is irrelevant, or whoever, that those are the things that really don't matter, you know, and uh, those are the things that really don't matter. And, we're all on the same page, no matter where you come at with this stuff. The only thing that is really different is like semantics, right? Like I can take in what you're saying, change a noun here or a couple adjectives here, and we're on the same page. We are, you know, and that's just the truth. It's just the truth. We're on the same page. Even if you're like coming at this from the whole aper side of things, like you're making some observations about behavior and the way these things act in a way that at the very least tells us that we're dealing with something that's more than just an ape, like we're dealing with something with a little bit of intelligence, right? Same way with aliens. Like, oh, okay, let's just take it from the space brother perspective. Okay, critters from outer space. Okay. What we're describing is still something that is borderline supernatural in the way it works. Oh, well, any sufficient enough technology can be perceived as magic or what have you, right? Right. But yet, the things that are happening, like the end result, are the same. Don't you find that curious? I certainly do. Like, yeah, yeah. I mean, because these things show up as I was talking about earlier. Like, we want to be like, oh, our ancestors were super awesome and they did all this stuff. How dare you take away from their accomplishments of the Great Pyramid or whatever? They had a lot of time on their hands and they were super smart, so they did these things. Like, cool. I'm with you 100%. Generally, I have a few caveats to throw in there, but whatever. The point is, they are talking about this stuff. They're using the limitations of their language of that time to describe the same things that we're describing now. It's all the same. It's all connected. Like, I could say aliens go back a couple 100 years, maybe 1,000. Elementals is what they're talking about. Or we'll take some kind of alchemical type science-y thing, like their branch of science at the time. And, they're talking about, these little created beings whose name is escaping me at the moment, that they can create alchemically using a matrix to do so. It sounds just like 3D printing. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. We go back further. The gods are telling us how to do this, that, and the other. Like, we're talking about the same thing, right? Magic, crazy technology. We're talking about the same. We're coming at it from different perspectives, but yet we're coming to the same conclusions. And I don't think you should ignore that. And granted, I'm not going to sit up here and beat you guys over the head with the Bible. I could. You want me to explain how Nephilim and Bigfoot are connected? I can. Does that make Bigfoot a Nephilim? No. It's something different. Is there a connection there? Yeah, I'm happy to explain that, but that would just further kind of divide us. Instead of looking at the little tiny details that separate us on these subjects, why don't we look at the mosaic and say, yeah, I agree with that. I can agree with that. I can get behind that. Like I said, it's just semantics at the end of the day, And there's so much going on out there in the world. So much. It's not sanitized at all. It's relegated, to like certain areas because of all the concrete that we've poured. And yet, sometimes that doesn't seem to matter because they'll come right into your home or show up right outside your alley. Bigfoot, alien, whatever, dogman. There's plenty of urban reports. Plenty. And that, when we hear those details and those stories, I really, really hope that it makes you, the listener, sit back and go, huh, I think I might need to reevaluate that and like my own thoughts on this and see see what might actually be going on here and explain it in some kind of way that'll give you some peace about it. You know, I think that that's important, and I think that's, you know, closer to the truth. So there's that. You know, I think it was all very interesting. All very interesting. I enjoyed it, you know, the stories here tonight. It was very good. Very good. I loved it. And hopefully you guys did too. You know, if you did, it'd be super cool of you guys to hit that like button, subscribe, hang out. Let's do some more talking about the crazy stuff, right? And have some fun with it. You know, and see if we can't get these pieces and build that mosaic, because, you know, I have the feeling that once we understand this whole truth, that we'll be like, oh wow, didn't see that coming, but man, that's interesting, right? I would like that to happen. That would be a good time. But yeah, go and do the things for me, guys. I really appreciate it. The likes, subscribes, hypes, all the stuff, and, you know, let's get these conversations out to more people. You know, we need to have these talks, these conversations with more folks, and, you know, get them aligned, you know, the best we can, or at the very least, engaging and hanging out, because variety is the spice of life, right? It's fun. It's fun. It's always a good time. It's always a good time. But yeah, all right. So I'm circling into squirrel territory, and I'll just keep rambling as little squirrels pop up in my brain and go, and I'll be like, ah, squirrel. I'm gonna keep on doing that. So let's land the ship. Bro, there's squirrels everywhere. They're everywhere. I want to hunt the squirrels. They're delicious, anyways. So, guys, with all that being said, I love you. I appreciate each and every single one of y'all. Thank you for hanging out. And until the next time, remember, it's all connected. It's all ice cream. And tookie. Peace. Bye.
When the night watchmen sound the horns of war, we're gonna be strong.